everyone. I know I've kind of been away for quite a while, but life gets in the way, and like I said, this is just a part-time hobby of mine, just throwing out some content when I can. But I have a very special treat for you guys today. I recently got back from a vacation in Florida, and I had the opportunity to rent two pretty awesome cars. One of which is definitely not as exciting as the other. I managed to rent a 2018 Audi A4 as just a rental for getting around town. Obviously, we all know it's a great car. I haven't had a chance to do a review on one yet. Maybe next time I bring my car in for service, I'll kind of take it around and, shoot a quick video on it. But basically, it's pretty similar to our 2018 Q5 that I have, which is part of the reason that we rented it as a rental. We rented that car through an app called Silver Car, and I highly recommend it. We managed to rent the car for $50 a day, which if you've rented a car recently through Hertz or Avis, I mean, they hit you with all sorts of fees. They nickel and dime you, they have you sign your life away, and then you get stuck in some piece of crap Nissan Sentra. So I highly recommend Silver Car. We had the car for, I want to say, 5 days, and it cost us barely $300, which the bang for your buck, a brand new Audi. Obviously, for us to get into it, we didn't have any issues getting, to know the navigation system, and just being in a car that you're relatively familiar with in an unfamiliar area, it's a huge advantage. But to the bigger point, I had a chance to rent a 2016 Mercedes-Benz AMG GT, and it was absolutely breathtaking. The way I managed to rent that car is through another app called Turo. If anybody follows Doug DeMuro's channel, I'm sure you've heard of this by now. He uses this. It's basically a person-to-person app that allows you to rent someone else's car. This is my second time renting through Turo, and I gotta say I'm a big believer of it now. The first time I rented through Turo was last year when we went to Key West, and I rented I think it was a 2015 BMW M235i. If you look back, it's one of my much older videos, albeit it kind of sucks. Not that any of my videos are fantastic, but it's an awesome car, and I did what I could to get a couple of shots of it, just with the limited time I had with it. But on to the point, Turo is a fantastic app. I highly recommend, if you have the opportunity, to get the app, get approved to drive, especially if there's some decent cars in your area, because if you look around enough, there are some deals to be had out there. And I really lucked out in this case. I'm sure, as you people have seen on YouTube, the AMG GT is a fantastic car. As Doug DeMuro says, it's criminally underrated, and I would absolutely agree with that statement 100%. The reality is, if you were to rent this car through an actual standard exotic car rental agency, you would probably be looking at spending $700-800 for the day, which is basically what you spend for a 911 of the same price value. It's basically that same price point. The car that I rented, I believe the sticker on it was somewhere between $135 to maybe $155. I managed to rent this car for $188 for the day, which included 100 miles. That's crackhead prices. It's unbelievable. Out the door, including the optional insurance I had, some bullshit taxes and fees, it still was under $300. I think the total came to maybe $270. Obviously, that's a really rare deal. It almost seemed too good to be true, but the whole experience turned out to be fantastic. The delivery was awesome. The car was awesome. My only complaint is that Florida sucks. There's nowhere good to drive the car. I did the best I could to try to get some good shots of it, to try to hit some, I guess, decent, sort of highway poles in like one corner. Thankfully, living in New England, I'm blessed with some relatively twisty roads, at least compared to what they're used to. But overall, the car's fantastic. I know it's not an Audi, and this is the Audiophile channel, but like I said, this is also my kind of lifestyle channel. So I'm going to try to this year maybe get some videos of boats and jet skis and maybe aviation stuff, just a lot of things that I'm interested in, along with obviously Audi, Porsche, and just cool cars in general. I think that, it's people in the car community, we can all agree that we hopefully love all types of cars, and I typically do. The AMG GT I always thought was a little quirky looking, seemed to me kind of like a big German muscle car, and now having driven it, I can say it is the creme de la creme. I mean, the thing is unbelievable. I've been fortunate enough to have driven some other pretty awesome cars in the past, which I haven't shared with you guys. One of which is the new Corvette Z06. Now, I had an opportunity to drive this car on track, and it was absolutely amazing. And it's probably a pretty close representation of what the AMG GT is like as far as visceral power and driving experience. But what the Corvette can't deliver is that special thing that you get out of Mercedes-Benz. It's kind of like something you can't quite put your finger on, like a special sauce, this little feeling that you get just holding the steering wheel that Mercedes-Benz does so well. And if you've had a chance to drive a newer Mercedes, you probably know what I'm talking about. So Mercedes does a very good job of blending that with the visceral power, and that's AMG in a nutshell. I absolutely fell in love with the car. I have to have one someday. Definitely, it's going to be a ways down the road. I do love my Boxster, and that's probably not going to go anywhere for a while. But the AMG is a very different car, and I think that's what makes these vehicles so interesting, is all cars can have so many different personalities. So with that said, the time I was down there, I didn't have the opportunity to do, an in-depth review of it in person. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to splice together some clips I have of going around the car, kind of showing the interior features, and then I do have about 5 to 8 minutes of driving time in it with some, I guess, corny commentary. I'm going to do a voiceover of the walk around just so I can kind of give you my overall impressions of the car, especially with certain areas of it, from the exterior styling to the interior styling, just as well as the layout of the cabin and what I liked and didn't like about the car. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'm going to try to get some more content out for this year, like I said, as I get a hold of it. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. If you like the video, give me a thumbs up, and if you like it more, then subscribe. So thanks for watching, and enjoy the video. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to go ahead and say that this car is reasonably photogenic, but the pictures and video really don't do it justice. It has a very commanding road presence, and when you walk up to it, it's exceptionally short as far as height is concerned, and it's very, very wide. Driving it, however, though, it doesn't feel like it takes up a lot of the road. It takes a little getting used to with the long hood, but once you're used to it, it drives relatively normal. But that said, it is a truly pretty car in person. It's muscular, aggressive, it's got sleek classic lines with great proportions. And of course, you can't forget the true carbon fiber roof on the top. I like the way that Mercedes-Benz does the carbon fiber. It's not overdone, it's real, it's tasteful. A lot of manufacturers, they get tacky with it. It doesn't belong in a Honda Accord. This car, it does. Obviously, the big beautiful wing, which is equipped on the GTS. I don't believe that comes on the base GT. And then just, the rest of the body lines. It's got the nice wide flares in the back and the simple taillights. Almost looks like a 911 from the rear. Now, going into the interior, this is where Mercedes-Benz really sets the bar pretty high. Those AMG seats, they're very tightly bolstered. They might not be for everybody if you're a bigger person, but as far as performance goes, they hold you in place. They're tailored wonderfully. Of course, this has an Alcantara wheel on it, which is great for performance. Granted, I probably wouldn't want it as far as care and maintenance is concerned, but the rest of the interior is 10/10. So you have beautiful deviated red stitching everywhere. There's a black piano trim all along the center console, and of course, who can forget the embossing that AMG does in the center console. It truly feels special. And it's almost like having an S-Class with sports car performance. It's a very special place to be. They kind of do this string of pearls set with the vents. The infotainment system I found was a little quirky, but then again, I'm not used to a Mercedes-Benz infotainment. All the other controls seem to work relatively well. The button placement for the sport mode and the exhaust mode, that was all laid out pretty well, as I'll go on to explain as I kind of did a little review as I was driving the vehicle and mainly just rambling to my wife. But this is what the driving position looks like. It's very low. The visibility is kind of poor. It takes a little getting used to, but I could see if you got used to it, it would be okay. Although this is a car you definitely would not want to drive without having the blind spot monitoring turned on, because the blind spots are pretty large. So going to the business end here, you can see this plastic cover actually does not house the engine underneath it. And of course, I'm naming the gentleman who handcrafted the engine. The engine is actually placed behind this black cover, which I'm going to show right here, the two turbos which sit inside the hot V. So this car is truly a front midship platform, and that really shows when you just feel the balance and the handling of the car. It's really kind of eerie almost, looking at how far back the engine is placed. Now, most people won't realize this is actually an underhood scoop, which is used to provide air to the turbochargers and keep the underhood temperatures low. And of course, I'll finish off with the best bit, that beautiful exhaust note.
Nice. Let's give it a little rev. No, a little more than that. Give it a good one. There you go. All right, now hit the exhaust button on the right side of the console and do it. Now do it. Again. All right. Cruise around a little bit. Ooh, yeah, I didn't notice it. It's like it gives you a little hug.
Yeah. A hug. I take that as trapped.
These guys look at us. It's like I'm driving a fucking minivan and they're in that goddamn AMG. All right. Yes. I roll through the streets with a sledgehammer for a penis. I'm more obnoxious than Jeremy Clarkson on cocaine. Relax. Oh yeah. Wait, trust me, I'm wide awake driving this thing. I love this. I think this looks.
I thought you hated it. Like
No, I don't like the way this works, but I'm saying the look of all of this. I like the way they do this whole area. I think it's beautiful, and I like the way these buttons laid out. Like you have a button for the paddle shifters, a button for the exhaust, a button for the suspension, and then if you want to do all of it together, you can just do the like that. I do like about it. The steering wheel feels great.
Specifically towards people that understand and can appreciate a race car.
Right, but someone who has the ability to buy a car like this, more than likely, is into that sort of thing.
That's what I mean.
Yeah. This isn't
Like
for
they're
your.
catering to their audience.
This isn't for your average S-Class owner.
Get out of the way, fucking moped.
We just lost traction. This thing is fucking filthy. I just wish it didn't ride so hard. It's really stiff. You haven't even tried it with the suspension settings yet. Fuck me. Daddy like. Oh, crisp downshift. That is fucking awesome. You feel like it's squirrely?
Yeah.
This is a real gentleman's car right here. My car is Wolfgang, the Porsche Sabine. This car is Adolf. That is awesome. Nice permagrin. Permagrin. Fantastic. Fantastic. Oh, the downshift. This is like Kevin eating a muffin. Oh, yeah. Do you have to do that every time you downshift, Kevin? Oh, yeah.
It was the Snickers.
Whatever it was. Shut up. Oh, I wish my Boxer had a selective exhaust. much more. I'm not even stretching it at all. Oh, as good as it is in the corner, as in the straights, it's meant for the corners. Oh my god. I even downshifted mid-corner and it doesn't even get upset at all.
Jimbo's sandbar.
Fuck, I might just go back and keep running that shit. I need a clover leaf to hit. That was awesome. I feel bad for, like, the way you feel about, like, the animals is how I feel about the cars. Like, they just let them roam free. They're stuck in the city, you know? They want to be on curvy mountain roads and racetracks. like play some Sarah McLachlan. Think about the AMGs.
Need some free range cars.
Yeah, free range
Sports
AMGs.
cars.
It's just so sad. It loves it. It wants to go. Oh, and I have the ability.